Yes.
My name is Swee Keat. I'm from MediaCorp News. This question is for all three candidates. I think just now Mr. Heng used the term constructive engagement. There is a fear or a counter-argument that says that Singaporeans are worried that there might be groupthink that might come out from the policymakers. What is your counter-argument to that? And what's your take on younger Singaporeans who wish for more diverse and more robust debate in Parliament?
We've been through that process. Can you lead off this question?
Well, I think the aspirations of younger Singaporeans to want to be involved in policy making, in building the community, I think that is a very positive sign. And we should harness that energy and we should harness the ideas. Now, and so we have to find mechanisms for that engagement. There has been a number of such mechanisms there already, whether it's in the form of REACH or in the form of the specialized forum for specific policy issues. And I think there is scope for us to do more, to engage our younger people even more. I have, for instance, given talks in our junior colleges about our economic challenges, and I've always found it very heartening that at the end of those sessions, the students get a better appreciation of how external forces and how the changes that are going to happen around us are going to have a big impact on their lives. So I see that as a positive sign. As to your question about groupthink, somehow there is a certain perception that because the civil service is what it is and our political leadership has been there for a long time, that there is a groupthink. I've been involved in the policy making for quite a number of years now, and I would say that there are always robust discussions and debates and options. Even in the MAS, for instance, when we have our board meetings, there will be occasions where I have a different views from my colleagues, and we have very robust discussions in our board about those different views, and I make it a point to make sure that all those are reflected, because that is how we can make for better discussions. So I would say that I don't think that the groupthink is it is a perception which we need to work on. I don't think it is a reality.
I think I'm an example of someone from a different background from the private sector that the PAP is trying to bring in. I actually feel that a lot of people in the private sector care very deeply about the community. For example, the Japan tsunami, where we were going around trying to get donations, and in our bank, we tried to do community service, playing basketball with autistic children or painting wall murals for children's home. I think the important thing is time element. How do we, because everyone is busy, so how do we try to engage them? What's the process of engagement? I think a good way will be to try to encourage people to perhaps give a little bit of time, maybe 2 or 3 hours a month, to try to come into the branches to see what the community volunteers do, see what we do for people in our community. And I think as long as people have the heart, naturally they want to contribute more and more. And I think that's maybe a way to try to go about doing it.
Thanks. Thank you, Swee Keat, for the question. With regards to groupthink, I'll talk about my experience within the labour movement. Union leaders are very passionate about what they believe in. And any policy that NTUC puts out is through a very strong consultative process with many of our union leaders. And they're not afraid to put up their views if they disagree with certain directions. And very often this consultative process carries on throughout. Having been in the Young PAP for a number of years as well, and also serving in the community, there are many occasions where there are debates, there are dialogue sessions and forums where many young people come forward and talk about their views about how policy should be made or what direction Singapore should be going towards. We recently held a budget dialogue for Young NTUC, and we had a lot of younger union leaders as well as students from NTU coming down, and it was a very passionate 2 hours that we had discussing issues pertinent to the dialogue and what younger Singaporeans felt should be done more of, or should be changed, or should be improved on. So I think the processes are in place to avoid groupthink. But it is, as Swee Keat has mentioned, it is a perception, but it's not exactly a reality on the ground. Thank you.
I'm not standing for elections, but let me give a short response to this. There's no groupthink on the casino issue. For those who have followed the debate on the casino, within the cabinet it was quite divided. For me, it was a very difficult process to accept the casino. I almost couldn't make my speech in Parliament. So if you think there is groupthink, there's one example you can quote. There is no groupthink. I'll give you another example. In the trade union movement, we're very concerned about the low income and what globalization had. What globalization had wrought for them. We saw wages stagnating, and worse still, we saw wages falling. Within the trade union movement, we discussed the subject of the working poor. We then pressured government to do something about it. And out of that came the workfare income supplement. So there is no groupthink.